Hello, people. Welcome to the pre-season testing for Superleague Light GPVWC. It's the first
Mic off.
session of the year, actually, for GPVWC. Uh, yeah, it's Superleague Light starting us off. We've already had quite a lot of drivers going for their laps and doing the whole thing. Uh, so we're just here for the final 2 hours or so to just have a chat about what's happened. I'm here with Menno Klont.
Mic on.
Who's
Hey,
doing the cameras,
yeah, hello.
and
Yes,
he'll also be speaking a bit as well.
yeah,
And we're gonna hope to get some people in for interviews and discussion things like that. So,
yeah, true. We're now in the final 2 hours of the first preseason test of the Super League Light Series of 2020 here at Watkins Glen. And yeah, we saw a lot of runnings, already a lot of runnings of several teams who already did the program for today. But for the last 2 hours, yeah, we'll show a lot of footage from live footage from people that are now testing. And we have a bit of discussion, I think, about every team, and we're going to talk about lineups. I think that would be the best thing to do, and yeah, this is kind of
yeah,
interesting. So we now have got, I believe, 12 people now currently in the server. You can see that on your screen. We're now following Mark Fuller in the really cool livery of CM Tech Racing. It's quite
yeah,
a nice livery, right, Josh?
it is actually. Got a bit of the is it the OCR vibe from was it last year or 2018? But
Uh,
in terms of the design, but either way, it's a very nice design. The colours work really well on it, I think.
yeah,
So, yeah,
I,
got
I I agree on that. So we're now on board with Mark Fuller, one of the most experienced guys in GPV, I would say, but still wants to show his skill and do the laps and being imported for a team like CM Tech. So it's really interesting what he can do.
Yeah,
Seems
well,
to be
Mark obviously mainly races for his team ST, obviously, and I believe he's going to be the driver for them this year as well.
yeah,
Super Cup.
I
But
believe
yeah,
so
it's
as well.
good to see him testing the faster cars, seeing what he can do, I guess.
Yeah, I agree on that. Let's go to another guy, and I believe we now have Sebastian Kosmala, recently announced as one of the drivers at Stax Racing next to Terence Grech. Um, of course, I will not pronounce that name correctly, but Craig, I believe. But interesting lineup. Kosmala partnering the Maltese driver there. What do you expect from this guy in this team? Because well, we know Kosmala from Super Cup being a race winner there. What do you think, Josh? Personally?
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. The team overall, obviously, with Greg in there, he's a very good driver. So, yeah, I think they've got to be up there, and probably one of the more, I guess, consistent lineup.
Yeah,
Because you know there are some where you've got a great driver, but the teammate maybe not so much. But this one, I think they'll be quite balanced in that regard,
yeah.
which should be good.
Yeah, I
Be
agree on that,
interesting.
and what I also think is that with Christian Zorna, the team boss of Stax, they got somebody that knows how to make a successful Super League Lights team. He knows what is needed, and now with Kosmala and Terence, they will have a good lineup to at least do better than last year, because last year was a bit of yeah not that good year, because the 2 years before they were like really good in Formula Challenge, and yeah, they stepped up to the lights, but 2019 I think was not what they would have hoped, and not of course for their standard a good season. But I think this year could be a changing year again for them. Will be very interesting. So yeah,
Yeah, like you say, they didn't have the best of seasons, but Well, they've got the lineup and they've got the experience now, at least a year's experience to hopefully be able to improve it.
And
Um,
looking at Super Cup, we saw Kosmala a few times. He was like the class of the field in Super Cup, and yeah, not sure if he can show that every time in the Super League lights. But I guess we will see some races where Kosmala will be in the front end of the field, and yeah, that's in the end that's why you sign yes that driver to just make sure he will get a lot of points in, and I think yeah, that's is what he
yeah, I think that's what he'll be best at is getting good solid points every round, being consistent at that,
yeah
and with the odd potential to get on the podium and maybe even get a win. I think this season in general is going to be quite interesting for that.
yeah
I think there's a lot of drivers that have the potential to be at the front. Last year, obviously being the first season, it was a bit mixed up. You had a few really good drivers and then kind of the rest of the pack.
yeah
But this year, it's looking a lot more tight at the top. I think
yeah
make it interesting.
yeah it's not like you name one driver that will class the whole field. Now I think
Yeah,
to be fair, we will have in my prediction 6 to 10 people that have the potential to be on the podium of the first race. But that all depends how, of course, they will develop the setup, how good they are with, of course, the skill they will put in, and they will show, and of course the tire wear. I think tire wear will be a huge thing also in this season of Super League Light Sim Racing, and I think the guy that can drive the fastest with yeah with a good tire wear, then yeah, I think that one will be finishing it highest. And of course, you need to have a driver that is calm and can do nice moves, nice overtakes, a good race pace, but also not lose their head in battle. I think that's really
yeah,
important. Let's
yeah. I think that will be important. I think we saw that last year. The tires were so kind of you needed to be in the right temperature. They were very easy to overheat. Once you did that, you'd lose time and lose wear. Uh, so it's important to get a driver who can keep them in check, basically. And yeah, I think Jack, at least last year for us, he gained quite a lot of positions and things like that just by driving smoothly and not getting involved in stuff where a lot of other drivers did, and it definitely helps out. So,
Yeah, I agree. Well, we're now on board with Johan Lindberg. Johan Lindberg signed at Drag Racing next to Royce Fulton. I believe Johan Lindberg was quite a late signing, but yeah, I think it's for Drag. It's will be a good signing because Johan brings experience, and in a series like this, you want experience. So interesting. We see him back for another year. Yeah, what do you
yeah,
think of Johan? Because yeah, I think you know Johan for a few years as well, at least from his name, and yeah, I
yeah, I
guess
think
yeah,
it will definitely be interesting to see what he can do. Obviously, he was with Stacks last year and didn't necessarily have the best of to the start. I don't think they did too well. Um, but I mean, he's been around a while. He's definitely a good driver. Um, and we're interested to see what he can do at Drake. Really. Uh,
and looking at the whole field, we of course will name all the other teams as well. Do you think it will be 30 drivers that will go for the 15 point spots, and they all 30 will have a shot to get points, or you think there will be drivers that will be dramatically off the pace? And not to name the drivers, of course, but do you think
no.
we will have some drivers that will struggle a bit, or you think at least it will be very close in performance that you can still say number 27 in qualifying can still end up in P14 in the race? Or what do you think? As a
uh, yeah, I think looking at the grid. there's no particular drivers that stand out as people that won't do well. I think, yeah, like say, everyone should really have a shot at point. Last year as well, we saw that the qualifyings were so tight that you'd have like the top 15 within a second in qualifying, or even more drivers, and that, yeah, it seems to these cars seem to do that. They seem to be very good at having everyone close together, which will obviously always make it more interesting in the races. You know, you could have a fast driver that maybe didn't have the best lap, like even just losing a couple of tenths, and they lost so many positions from it and fight their way through. I think we could see that quite a bit, really, uh, which should make for some good battling up and down the grid.
Yeah, true. It makes a very exciting 2020 season, of course. Let's explain more about this circuit and about today's tests for people that didn't follow yeah, the whole thing. Is that we're now at Watkins Glen. I believe that's in New York. I believe. Not sure.
I'm not entirely sure. I think it might be around that area.
Yeah, I believe so. Of
I'm not
course.
great at US geography, so.
No. Well, yeah. Well, of course, the F1 races were here in I believe, the 50s and 60s, and I believe beginning of the
Yeah,
70s.
there are a few in the 70s as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a iconic track to do the test on, and that's good. So every team that will have needs to field three drivers. Well, we're now on board with Bruno Superleague, who nearly lost it and went into the wall. Every team needs to run 3 drivers, so that's 15 teams with 3 drivers. That means we will see 45 drivers during this test, and they need to do at least 24 time laps that are quicker than, I believe, 1:29. Is that correct?
Yes, 129,
Yeah,
which,
so
from what we've seen so far, it's not too difficult a time to beat,
no.
but you still need to make sure you're consistent, because we've seen so far a few drivers that maybe have been pushing a bit too much unnecessarily, and have ended up crashing, and essentially anything like that, needing to do that extra lap, it costs the team money.
Yeah.
Which will be less money for them to be able to put in development and contract, things like that. So it's important that the drivers are being smart with how they're driving, not doing too much, not doing too little, and it all just helps the team overall for the year. So
Yeah, I agree. So it will be, yeah, it will be just interesting to see at the end of the test. We will have some people that will make really nice Excel sheets where you can see which team did which amount of laps, and if there were teams which did not enough laps to get full R&D points. So it's quite interesting. But I think for all what's worth, I think the main part of this broadcast from the first test is to show who are on the grid of from the 2020 season. Some deals were in quite late. I think really late for some deals. I think some
yeah,
some things were just.
we had our own quite late
Yeah,
deal for the reserve.
yeah, yeah. For reserve, that's quite okay, but for primary drivers,
Yeah.
that's kind of hard. And I know some deals were inked quite recently, and yeah, it's interesting, and yeah, because you always ask yourself, yeah, did I hire the right driver? Will the driver I just hired, will it fit my image as a team? Because I believe that a certain driver can be better at a certain team, and another kind of driver can be better in another team, if you know what I mean. I think you agree on that, Josh, right? It's like driver needs to suit team, and team needs to suit the driver as well.
Yeah, definitely, especially in something like Superleague Lights, where there are a lot of top drivers. You need the driver working with the team, and vice versa, to be able to get the best out of them. You know, there's a lot of setup work and practice that goes into these drivers and these teams. And if the drivers aren't getting along and maybe not sharing the information or not working well enough together to make the setup, then they're not going to be able to do as well in the race. It all impacts the lap times they're doing, how well they do on tyre wear and things like that. So it's very important to have, including the reserve driver as well, because they help a lot setups. So yeah, it's very important to have everyone getting along, being able to work together, and just improving the team as a whole, really.
Yeah, true. Because some people want to have more support, or other drivers want to have more more freedom to do what they yeah, to do their own thing, and so that's interesting, and yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There are some drivers that maybe would prefer to do it themselves, get all the setup work done
Yeah.
themselves so that they know what they're doing, and then maybe just go just before the race, share it with the team and say what they've done and get on with it like that. It all depends if the team like it that way and how if they're getting the results, I guess, then there's no bad thing doing that. So
Well, we're now following a kind of battle with Matthew Clip and Sebastian Cosmal. It's kind of interesting to see because they're really close. So let's follow this battle. Of course, it's a battle actually for nothing, but yeah, it's fun to see. Is that yeah?
yeah, it's always interesting to see how people react in tests like this. You know, some people, even though they don't need to, there are some people here who want to get, I guess, the pride in going fast,
Yeah,
not losing out. So that it's all a little bit unnecessary, really, when all they need to do is do some laps.
yeah. But some
But
some
it can give us some good entertainment for the stream, I guess.
yeah,
But
yeah. I think some people just want to show what they're made of. They want to to be in the headlines. Let's call
yeah,
it like that.
exactly.
And I can agree on that. I think sometimes you just want to be fastest or having a good time. You can show, yeah, like, yeah, this is good, and this is good for my team. We are ready
Yeah, we had
to battle.
Jack after doing his stint wanted to go out and set fast as that to get at the top, uh, just for the fun of it, really. But looking at it, he did get it at the time, but it looks like Dawei Tapper now in the Zedric has beat his time and apparently the top overall in the session.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
interesting to see.
that's pretty interesting to see. Gives me a good time to now talk about Dow Tapper's team and all the other teams, because we got some new teams for this season. I believe we've got 6 new teams, if I said it right. Looks at you.
Yes,
You
six new teams.
can you
Yes,
announce them all 6? Like we've got, let me think. We've got Cedric, we've got GG Racing Esports, we've got
yeah.
RSR Mouse One, we've got oh my god,
Fusion Racing,
Fusion Racing, and we've got, oh my god, I've got a blackout.
TCSL.
Yeah, and the worst thing is I was thinking about the logo, but I was like, oh my god, a blackout. No,
Yeah, well,
I,
I had the wiki there. I
yeah,
definitely would not know that off the top of my head, so
yeah.
it's fine.
I normally would have could have done that out of my head, only not now. So yeah, yeah. I uh, I I, I had a lot of talks with all of them because I'm helping them a bit. Yeah, in the beginning of the season, and of course I'm since a while I'm a part of the GPVWC administration, so I know a bit who moved up. So yeah, I should know, but yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Normally you would know,
difficult to
but
remember
when
all
you're
the
on a live
changes.
stream, then you think like, oh,
Yeah, under
yeah.
the pressure.
But normally
Yeah, there's
it's
some interesting new teams though.
yeah.
Obviously, Zedric in Super Cup champion. You've got to say that kind of, and with I think with the lineup they got, is looking good for a strong season from them this year. Obviously, Dawei, like I said, currently top in the time, and Hygo Boom with him, who was obviously with us for half of last season, and I think got a bit unlucky, but did well overall. and for this season, will I guess be looking to use his experience to do even better. Really.
Oh, well, because somebody going off? No, that's okay. So, yeah, we were on board with Matthew Clip and we saw the guy in front go off, but everything is okay. Well, we're now on board with Kosmala again, chasing Clip. But yeah, six
Still
teams.
locked in battle.
Yeah, let's get back on Cedric. Interesting, of course, they are in lights. Of course, we expected that after they clinched the double with the championship with Muscat and the what is it, the constructor championship for Cedric.
Yeah.
So that's a very interesting lineup they have, and I think yeah they will show potential during this season. Let's go to one of the other teams. I think, yeah, the second team that comes into mind is TG Racing, and I personally think they've got a star lineup. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, well, definitely. I'll say Jason, last season's Super Cup champion. It makes sense for him to move up to Super League lights, and see, Jason's been around quite a while now, and I think he's definitely got the talent. So it will be good to see what he can do against strong competition this year. You'd hope, at least in Super League light. And Francesconi with him. He's definitely going to be one to keep an eye on.
Will be a very interesting lineup for a new team. I think
Yeah,
Francesconi would be one of the guys that, on outright pace, will be amazing. When he got the car to his liking, I think he will be yeah, nearly unbeatable. Maybe a few guys can get close, but yeah, I think will be a pleasure to watch Francesconi during the season. And then of course you've got Muscat, and yeah, Jason Muscat, of course, the champion of Super Cup, and actually a very good friend. And Jason Muscat has the ability to go better, be faster, yeah, during the race than during testing. The guy always delivers when is needed, so that's kind of interesting, of course. So I think a very good lineup for the second new team of the six. Let's just talk about them all six.
yeah,
Well, we're still on
definitely.
board with Kosmala. Actually, raced for TG Racing last year. Was it right?
Uh,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
believe so.
Yeah, I need to.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we've got Kosmala now passing Clip.
Okay. Well,
Finally.
yeah. Finally being released
Oh,
from behind
we're now
Matthew,
on
but
board with Bart de Vos, who's stationary at the pits. Not sure if he will go. Maybe check
don't know
some.
what he could be doing.
Yeah, he's going. So we're now following Bart de Vos with
Yeah.
the BR 99. Yeah, paint job, let's say it like that, color scheme. It actually looks like
Yeah.
an old F1 car. I really like the retro livery, so very
It does.
interesting.
I think they've done a great job on that one.
Yeah,
I think having it with the same livery but with all their kind of sponsors on it,
so
I
yeah,
think
this,
it's
so
very good, very
to
clever.
yeah to keep in mind, this will not be their full season livery. We've got a few teams that will run interim liveries, testing liveries, and yeah, they will do the full livery later. So yeah, we only see
Yeah.
this livery for the test sessions. So interesting. So let's get to one of the other new teams. You name a team, and one of the four new teams left, and then we're going to talk a bit about them.
Yeah. I'd say probably, to be honest, one of the more interesting ones is RSR.
Yeah,
See, they they applied for Super Cup as their first season in the career ladder at GPV.
yeah.
But obviously, due to other teams kind of moving about, they got promoted straight up to Super League Light. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they can do.
Yeah,
Um,
I think RSR is quite interesting because, yeah, normally you need more experience in GPV, at least in the career ladder, to move up for a series like this. But with RSR, yeah, they just showed quality right away. That was really interesting, and yeah, they were able to move up into, yeah, to do it in a good way. So they got the grid spot, and yeah, I'm pretty impressed how the team does. It seems to be yeah, the team is with a couple of really good guys in sim racing lovers, and yeah, I think they could surprise, because everybody thinks like, oh, RSR, we're not sure what should we expect, but I think we could see yeah, some good results from them. But yeah, we shouldn't forget GPV and Superleague Lights will be new for them. So let's see what they can bring.
Yeah, well, I think having that they did well. They've got Sandy
Yeah,
thing as their probably kind of their main driver. He did really well in Formula Challenge last year. Um, so I think you've got to say he's probably going to be the main driver of that team. But I think he could do really well. Already seeing him doing testing, he's looking very strong, and so he's probably one of the other drivers that could potentially be fighting for podiums, I reckon, maybe this season.
yeah,
Um, and Ryan Elliott alongside him. To be honest, I haven't seen too much of him, so I don't know exactly how he'll be. But obviously, with it being his team, you've got to say he's confident in himself to put himself as the driver. So it will be interesting to see what he can do.
yeah.
I don't believe they've got a reserve yet, do they?
I think they will have a reserve, but I'm not sure who that will be. Of course, they might have hired somebody for this test, but I'm not sure
Yeah.
who. But
Unless is it Bruno Sousa Ferreira, I
I
believe
guess
actually.
so. I guess so. That could very well be the case.
Yeah. So again, him. Well, I suppose as a reserve, let's say he's not necessarily going to be having to be one of the fast guys, but he seems like he could be good in practice, getting the setup sorted for them. So it'll be good to see what he could do, and if he gets maybe called up for a race, it'll be good to see what his pace is like there.
Yeah, true.
Uh,
That's true. That's so.
so one of the next teams that will also be quite interesting is Mouse One Racing. Uh, See, they got had a very good battle in Formula Challenge last season, just missing out on the championship.
Yeah.
Uh, so they managed to skip Super Cup altogether, and now they're here in Super League Light. Uh,
Yeah, that's kind of interesting story as well. When you, yeah, when you were in challenge, and then yeah, you're going to move up 2 spots. Yeah, I mean
yeah.
that's kind of
I mean,
interesting.
we did that as well, to be fair, NDR, but mainly because Super League Lights was new at the time. But uh, I think Mouse One, a team like that, I think they should be fine with the jump. Um, See, they did really well in Formula Challenge. There's no reason why they can't carry that over.
No,
Uh,
I agree on that, and yeah, they had clear ambitions to go to Super League Lights, and in the end it was yeah, it could happen, and so they went up. So
yeah,
interesting. Well, of course, we need to say Mouse One and RSR were quite late entries to the Super League Lights because of problems with other teams, so they moved in later. So
yeah,
yeah,
true.
they had
So
less
maybe that
yeah,
might have affected the prep that I had,
yeah,
but uh, I mean, Mouse One, their lineup, I think could still be quite strong anyway. They've got Danny Robbins, who he did quite a bit of Super Cup last year, and I think put in some good performances. So good to see what he can do, making the step up. Uh, and James Juba as well
yeah,
uh, as his teammate. I will say I don't know
yeah.
too much about what he's done, if I'm honest.
Well, I know
Uh,
him a bit from, I believe, Formula Challenge, and he was quite fast. Of course, in this field, it's difficult to see how he will perform, and difficult to say. But yeah, I think he's got He also is one of the guys that got potential. If he can show the potential on track every time, every single time, I'm not sure. But I still believe James Zuba is a talented driver, and I wouldn't be surprised if he racks up some, well, let's say top eights, and in this field the top eight is pretty good. So, and even better,
Yeah.
he can of course prove me wrong and just get P3 at Australia and say yeah, you didn't
Here I
see
am.
that
Yeah.
in the cars. So yeah. Uh, for now it's a bit of a guessing game, and the first test will not give a lot of answers, but yeah, it will show a bit who maybe has a bit of more feeling with the car. But yeah,
Yeah.
now
Definitely.
now on board with Terence Craig. So yeah, that's very nice. He's got a very nice helmet actually. So yeah, I just noticed. I did not see all cars. That's what I now see. So
Yeah. That is very nice. Yeah.
yeah.
uh,
Is that a good or a bad thing? Like having your own team in the same series and you driving for another team? Is that a good or a bad thing? What do you think?
I think it depends really on the driver. Obviously, for us, we kind of have that with
Yeah,
NDR. Jack, I know he says that he wouldn't want to compete against MDR, which makes sense because really the idea should be that you want the best for your own team. So if you think if you think you're a good driver, maybe you should be at your own team. And at the same time, if you're competing against them, you don't want to be in the awkward position of taking out your own team or stealing
yeah,
points from them in a sense.
yeah.
So
That's true.
uh, it'd be interesting. But obviously, TG having probably one of the strongest lineups as well might make it even more interesting to see what
Yeah,
Terence can do against them.
yeah,
Because I think Terence himself will be up there as well.
yeah.
So
I
we could
agree
get
that.
some interesting battles between them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I personally, myself. I raced against Adonis a lot of time, or Adonis, how you want to call it, a lot of times. Well, I was in another car, and the idea of not driving for my own team was like, if you're having a bad race for your own team, then it's double bad luck. But
Yeah,
if you're doing well for yourself and your other yeah and your own team is doing well, then it's both is good. And if your own team makes a mistake and doesn't score points, but you score points, you will have a positive feeling for yourself, maybe a bad feeling for your team. So yeah, to not double that feeling. Yeah,
yeah,
I always went for other seats than my own team. Uh, but of course, I'm now having a reserved role at my own team in Super League. But that's just because you want to develop the car uh, up to the
yeah,
maximum of the potential. So yeah, uh, but I don't see it as a bad thing. No, I think it
no,
could be positive. Why should you drive for your own team? No, it doesn't need to be like that. No.
yeah. Well, I suppose as long as you're happy that you've got
Yeah.
the best drivers in your own team and you're doing well in yourself, then I suppose that's all that matters really, isn't it? As long as you're all getting points, then it's all fine.
Yeah. Let's talk about. I believe we've got two new teams left, and yeah, maybe if we're done with that chat, we can hopefully get somebody in for an interview, and let's see what they think. We've got two teams left. Uh,
Yeah.
TC
So
off. Let's go to them. What do you think?
yeah.
TC
Uh,
off. TSC off.
well, TCS off.
Yeah, I've got a problem with my speech at the moment. So
um,
yeah,
yeah, I think they'll be interesting to see what they can do. They've got Krupa in the team. Obviously, did pretty well in the Formula Challenge last year. Um, and he could quite easily be on the levels of say Sandeep and people like that.
yeah,
Um, So I think that they should have a good chance of being near the front. Yeah, and Faber alongside him. Yeah, I mean, again with him, to be honest, I don't know too much. I don't know if you know a bit more about what he's done.
No, no,
Trying to have a look, but
yeah. Oh, well, we've got a bit of problem with the internet. I believe we've got a bit
it
of a
looks like Terran
yeah,
has.
Terence. We were on board and we were just going off a bit with an internet problem for Terence. Hopefully he will get back. Meanwhile, we're
Yeah.
going on board with Giuseppe Saracino, who's doing the test for TTF.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, getting on TCF. I'm not sure what. Yeah, I know what Krupa has done, but not sure what the other driver has done. But yeah,
Yeah.
let's talk about the team. What I noticed about the team is that you've got the manager of the SEOF. That's remind me, Carter McColeman.
Carter McColeman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you have with some people you have the idea like uh, with Carter McColeman, I think with Super League Lights, his team is in the right place. He just needs the challenge of being a Super League Lights manager to do everything to work magic. While we now have a crash with Saracino, and I believe it's Lindbergh. Oh, what happened there?
Ooh, I didn't catch that one.
We're going on board with Saracino again.
Oh, looks like maybe Limburg slowing down, maybe to let him through, but
Well, it was
well,
quite strange
it was
because
quite a sudden drop, wasn't it?
yeah, it was like also in the middle of the corner. It was like yeah,
Yeah,
almost it was like a freeze or something.
could potentially be. Yeah, there's quite a few issues of that last season.
Yeah.
A few, you know, internet issues, screen freezes, things like that. So
So interesting what
right.
happened there. Yeah, they needed to park it for a bit. Yeah, this will cost them a bit of extra money because they need to do more laps now. It's unfortunate, but
Yeah,
we
and
got
a
it on.
bit more as well. It looks like Saracino was quite close to the end of his stint, so it's a bit unfortunate for him. He might have to
Yeah.
go out again. It looks like actually Limburg had just finished his stint. I believe he's done 24 time lap.
Ooh.
So
Yeah. Or did he
don't know
just
if
run out of
maybe
fuel? Maybe.
could potentially be. Uh, it was a bit of a weird one. Um, but yeah, back with TCS off, then yeah, I think you're right with what you're saying with Carter. He
Yeah.
seems like I think he's the kind of team manager that would be able to do Super League lights, and I
Yeah,
think
but
he will be
I,
able
I,
to.
I think he is a guy. If I see it correctly, he's a guy that can log into the GPVWC. He can look at his finances and he can just give him all the tools, and he will make sure that he will have two good drivers, and he will make the best car upgrading wise and everything around that, and he will make things happen. And I think yeah. It will be very interesting to see if I'm right about that. But I think he would be the kind of guy that yeah that for yeah it's not only the team that has the challenge, not only the drivers, but it's also the manager that will be challenged because you can make a difference if you are a good and experienced manager. That's the nicest thing of it, and it starts at the biddings of virtual personnel or sponsors. Uh, but yeah, you always can work your magic there, and yeah,
Yeah.
at least that's how I see it with Mr. Carter McColeman. I think, yeah, I think for him, Super League Lights is the place to be at this moment. And of course, next year there could be Super League, who knows? But yeah, I think yeah,
Yeah.
this is
So
good
because
for GPV that we've got the team in this class. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. Because looking at it in Super Cup last year, they were one of the few teams that had
yeah,
at least one driver at every single round.
yeah,
So clearly he's good at sorting that out
yeah,
and
yeah,
making sure that the team's running in that sense. So I see Super League Lights is a bit more to do than Super Cup because you are having to worry about the finances and team development. But I think Carter is someone who can do that quite easily and should be a well-run team, really.
Yeah,
Then I suppose,
I agree. So then, yeah,
uh,
we have now said enough about that team, I think.
definitely, yeah.
And then we've got one team left. Let me think, which one did we? Yeah, this is really difficult. Let me think.
Really, how long will it take
Oh yeah,
for Menno to
I
get the
think
team?
was it Fusion?
It is, yes, it is
Ah,
Fusion.
Fusion. Yeah, interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, I think. I mean, they're another team where it's difficult to necessarily place where they'll be overall, but
Yeah,
I think in general they should be quite good.
yeah.
Um, they did well last year. I can't remember exactly where they were in standing.
I believe third position in the constructors behind TG and Zedric.
Uh,
And
yeah,
that
so
was their first year in the career ladder, I believe. So that's
yeah,
quite decent.
yeah. So you've got to expect them with something like that. They should be able to well,
Yeah,
and I think they've got a driver lineup that probably could.
yeah,
Uh, there should be at least solid point scoring. With Ben Horrell as probably the more standout driver for
yeah,
them, because he's been around quite a while, and yeah, he should be good at that level. He did, was it the majority of the season last year? He did.
yeah, yeah. He did.
Yeah,
I believe for more than one team. I believe
yeah.
TTF and for.
TTF where he finished with, I think it was Chaos. He did a few rounds with.
Yeah, I believe TTF Drake. If I'm not mistaken. Well, maybe I'm mistaken, but yeah. So yeah, and who's next to him again?
It's George Sutton with him.
George Sutton. Yeah, interesting how
Uh,
he will do. But
yeah.
the biggest question of Fusion Racing, I remember last year's livery of the team.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it
It
was
wasn't
quite
that
a nice one.
wasn't that really nice gold with black, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was. It was,
Oh.
yeah, predominantly gold.
I
Few black
really
as well.
hope
It looked quite
that
nice.
will that livery will come back because it was kind of yeah unique. You want to have like if you have a big stream and you see 30 cars going on the first corner, then you say, "Oh look, that car is a fusion and that one is a fusion as well." We can argue about all those red cars, all those blue cars, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's actually
you could point out what the
yeah,
fusion is. Yeah,
but
uh,
that's the thing. What I wanted to say is that yeah, I hope
I think.
actually they will go for two really nice
Yeah, I
cars
think
with
I think
to
they'll
deliver.
stick with that. Looking at the teasers that they put out of their livery,
Yeah,
it looked like they were going even further with it, even more like the classic Lotuses and the nice black and gold. And I suppose the pre-season livery might hint at that as well. So I think that the car should look good. uh, and I mean, if the car looks good, then it doesn't really matter where you are, I guess.
yeah, true. But getting back on it, I think we now talked about the six new teams, but also the other teams that already were in Super League Light. I think we can agree on it that we will not have bad teams in this series. You will have, of course, have lesser
uh,
teams with point scoring, but there's not a team that you say, well, they will definitely do bad. No, or nay,
no,
no.
I
I
think
think you've got every team that has the potential to go to Australia and have at least one, maybe two cars in the points, depending, of course, what
uh,
will happen during the race.
I think so. Yeah, there's all the teams in there deserve to be there. I think they all should be well run. And
Yeah,
like we were just saying, I think a lot of the drivers are good. There's no drivers that are gonna, you know, be right at the back every single race and just not scoring any points. I think
yeah,
it should be quite good in that regard.
yeah, true.
Um, yeah,
I can't wait for the qualifying in Australia when you got 15 minutes, and in those 15 minutes you're going just full out on that track, and then you will get, I think, 15 people within a second, or maybe 20 people that 20 drivers, and then that's just like nerve-wracking. You see all those sector times, and you see somebody jump from P12 to P4, and you just know that feeling as a sim racer. Yeah, you just know that it's just amazing to see.
Yeah,
So
it's always interesting the final minute or so of qualifying where trying to get the absolute best out of their last lap. It's always a good time. And yeah, like I said, last season, most qualifying sessions, the top 15 or so were maybe within a second. And
yeah,
looking at the field this year, it should be pretty similar.
sure.
Uh, yeah.
Well, we're now on board with Giuseppe Saracino again, and I believe they're running a tribute livery for, I believe, Kobe Bryant. Was that something I
Yes,
heard?
it is. Yeah,
That's kind of interesting. Huh? I mean, I really like that idea. I mean,
yeah,
I'm
it's
not
nice
really
to see.
home in that type of sport, but of course the news I think is now 2 weeks ago about what happened there. Yeah, and I think it's really cool to have a tribute livery on that, and yeah, you should give it plenty of time to at least show, because it looks
Yeah,
quite
it's a
good,
nice.
and for a pre-season test, yeah, you could really go for the kind of livery.
Yeah, I think it looks good and it's a nice thing to do.
Yeah,
Essentially, yeah, I'm the same. I haven't really paid attention to basketball, but obviously it's a sad thing that happened. To have a livery that not only looks good but has a good meaning behind it. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to see. Um,
okay, well, I believe we've got some people that now wants to be interviewed. So let's drag one of them in.
yeah,
I've got rights to drag them in, so I will drag in Kas Rietveld. So there he will come.
maybe.
Yeah, I will wait a bit. I will put him in the green room first, and he thinks, "Oh, what's happening?" And now we put him in, and now he will be with us. And yeah, we will have our first guest of the evening.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for
Hello.
having me.
So with more than an hour to go in this session, we've got our other Dutchie in. So yeah, and now we go for Josh for the questions, and I will ask questions as well. But Josh, you can go ahead and ask some questions first. Because
Okay, nice.
you're awesome in asking good question. I mean, I know you always
Cool.
ask a lot of questions to me, so yeah, you can ask us a lot of questions. Yeah, so
Okay,
go
nice.
ahead.
The tough questions.
Mic
Oh,
Yeah.
off,
it's
mic
all the
on,
pressure now. I need
mic
to make
off.
sure they're good questions. I suppose the main one, obviously, being pre-season, is how are you looking forward to the season? So you've moved over to sorry, I messed up
To
already.
Royal Blue.
Moved over to Royal Blue,
Yeah.
of course. Who had a pretty good first season in Superleague Lights last year. How are you looking to join the team and hopefully improve it and bring it up the order?
Yeah. Well, I first of all I want to thank Matthew Clip for the opportunity. Um, he's welcomed me incredibly well. And, it's a great atmosphere in the team. It's so much better than Drake. Not to come down on Drake or anything, but it is really nice. It's such a calm and well managed team. Everything is very sorted. Everything is very well balanced. Finances are very transparent. We all have a very good say in what we are going to do. We already have a very good plan on what we will do this season, and we already know exactly what our plans are. So we have it very well planned out. Only thing we'll have to do for us is get a good setup in, get the car settled, do the preseason tests, practice, 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 and practice, and get good results. And I think we have a solid team in place with a very solid teammate to get a good result for the next season.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. We were talking about that a bit earlier. That I think a team like that is very important to have. because it means that you as a driver, I guess, you could just focus on doing your thing, get the laps in, get the setup right, and then focus on the race. And when you've got a good team behind you, that makes it a lot easier, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah, it makes it so much easier. I know I could just get in the car today and do my thing without having to worry about, okay, how many laps do I have to do? Everything was just worked out. I could get in the car, go and drive, get my plan sorted, do what I was expected to do. Don't worry too much about the lap times. Just do your laps. It's very low
Mic
pressure,
on.
and just do your laps. Don't crash. Get the plan sorted. Do what's asked, and then we're all good.
And I've got a few questions. So
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
going to go.
Shoot.
Yeah. We're now at Watkins Glen. What do you think of this circuit? As a
Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
the, I heard a lot of people that were quite happy to go on this track, and I agree on it. It's quite nice track. It's of course different what you would expect because you're not going here like a lot, but I think it's a great track. But yeah, getting back to you, another thing, what I wonder, what are your goals for the season?
Well, the goals are pretty difficult to set already for now, but it's definitely be up there. At least get points every race. That's really the goal. And my personal goal is it's quite ambitious, of course, but I really want a podium this season. I know that I have the pace. I didn't show it last year in Super League Lights, but I didn't really do practice there. I showed up to the race practice session and did the race, which wasn't really good on my side. But my Formula Sim racing was my priority. Now that priority has changed. GPV is really where I'm at right now, and with this team, I feel like I can get really good results, get a good setup, and with that setup, I really think that if I practice enough and that I can get the lap times out, that I do have the potential to perhaps get a podium, depending on how the others are, of course.
Yeah, of course you don't you cannot see what will happen, of course, with your rivals, how quick they will be.
No.
But is there any team where you say from, hey, I want to beat that team? Is there a team where you say from, like, we think that would be the best team or our biggest rivals, or are you not looking at rivals? Are you just looking at yourself at the moment and to improve that?
At the moment, I'm not really looking at rivals, but from the older perspective that I can, with the people that I know Tomasz Wak he's very quick driver. I really want to have a really nice rivalry with him, perhaps.
Mic off.
James Juba, I know him a little bit. He's very quick in the VEC. That's what I know. It would be very nice to drive against him with a very nice fight. And of course MDR, as you can see right now, they are they are
Good
ahead.
to-
It's bragging rights, of course, right now. Lap times are useless. That's why I didn't do any
Show off
laps.
in some way.
But it's just a team, an established team that I think can do very well next season. And of course, I want to be ahead of an established team. But overall, I'm not really looking at rivals at the moment.
Mic on.
Okay, so yeah. So when will you be happy in when you leave Australia? Is that a points finish, or is that more than that? Should it be a top 10, top 8, top 5, top 3, or what?
I think I'll only be happy if I'm at least in the top 8.
Top 8, yeah.
Top 15 is like just made it,
Yeah.
like I'm at the bottom end.
Yeah.
Top 10 is, well, good finish.
Yeah.
But to really kick off the season
Yeah.
with a good finish in the top 8 would be absolutely brilliant, and that would be my goal for a solid start.
I think this should be everybody's goal, of course, but yeah. So
Yeah, of course, you want to aim.
Yeah, but only one can finish with P8, and yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that would be a very good aim, of course.
That would be very good aim, but we have to practice hard. We have to perform.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get unlucky in the race. Maybe a crash happens. Maybe you get involved in an accident. Nobody knows. We can't really predict right now. I can say I will finish P7 in Australia, but if I crash or a crash happens, which I'm involved in, it doesn't work. Yeah,
No.
I can say right now I want to be top 8. Yeah, I want to be top 8, but if I show up to qualifying with lots of practice and it turns out that we're 5 tenths down on setup or just 5 tenths down of pure driving, that's down to me. But I still didn't perform, and then I won't be able to make the top 8. So we'll have to work and practice and practice and practice and improve on that. So it's difficult to say.
Yeah, I agree on that. So yeah, any more questions, Josh, for
Uh,
Kaz?
no, I think like I said, I think top 8 is definitely a good target to have. So obviously, best of luck to you for doing that. I know we're MDR. We're definitely gonna try and uh, try and get you out of that. Try and be ahead of that. But you know,
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course,
well,
everyone will be trying that.
oh yeah.
yeah,
Well,
it'll be good to see.
we'll be giving you a run of for your money, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we did have a good battle with Royal Blue last year in the standings. So
Yeah,
we'll,
well, we're not planning to be close to you. We're planning to be far ahead of you. So,
well,
Uh,
we'll see how that works.
well, yeah, we'll see. Of course, it's all
uh,
good fun. We're all doing this for fun. So, if it turns out you're far ahead, doesn't mean anything.
no.
In the end, we all want to have fun. It's our hobby, and the goal is have fun, finish high, and don't complain too much, which I didn't.
Yeah. One final question then, I think. Which circuit on the calendar? Of course, you know the calendar. You did a lot
Yep.
of sim racing hours, of course, on every circuit already. Which circuit, which track you will want to go and say, well, I want to do well on which circuit does stand out for you? Which
Well,
circuit you say, if I can get a decent result there, I would be happy. Of
some
course,
people might.
every circuit, but is there
Yeah.
one in particular you say, hey, if I get that circuit, if I get a good result there, it feels even better for me than on other circuits.
Yeah. Well, maybe you would expect me to
Mic
say
off.
Zandvoort Dutch Grand Prix, but no, that won't be it. Last year, a track which I really genuinely enjoyed was the Turkish Grand Prix. I absolutely love that track. It's one of my favorites. And before last year, I've never driven on it. I only knew that, well, the Turkish Grand Prix was there. But when I drove it, I just fell in love with it. I had my best qualifying of the year there with much more potential last year. And I think that if I can use that little bit of experience that I had last year and put it into next year, then I think the Turkish Grand Prix, well, that's really a race where I want to be on the podium. I think that would be possible because it's a circuit that really, which I really like. It's a really fast paced track, and I think it will be the Turkish Grand Prix for me. Yeah.
Mic on.
Very interesting. So yeah, we now actually know more or less everything about you. So
Well, I hope so. Well,
yeah.
actually,
We'll have a
I hope
profile,
not.
right?
I still need that advantage,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. No, I mean,
We already know all your strengths and weaknesses.
yeah, yeah. We just note
Yeah. Do you want my no? Do you want my do you want my weakest tracks as well or not?
Well, let's.
Shall I just
Put extra
show you
practice
the
in
setup?
them.
Yeah, and, I guess your weakest tracks are not in this year's calendar. No.
Well, now that you say that, they might not.
No, but really thanks for being here and at least talk with us. Of course, during the season we will follow you and let's see yeah what you can do. It will be of
Well,
course very interesting and of course yeah you will be doing your absolute best. But we shall see what you can do.
I hope so. I hope I will get to my promise of the top 8 in Australia. Well, at least I'll beat MDR for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Well, yeah, we'll see.
So
All good fun. Thank you for having me, guys.
yeah. Thanks for being here.
No problem.
So that was Cash Ridgeveld. Interesting. I mean, yeah. Then you talk with a guy like that, and how he sees the whole season. And yeah,
Yeah, well,
I
it's a
was
good.
a bit surprising because who he sees as rivals, who he wants to beat, and he's clear he wants to beat certain teams. And actually, I think that's kind of logical. So
Yeah, it was a good insight. I think, like you said, last year he didn't necessarily have the best of seasons, um, but I think it's good. It shows a good mindset that he has going into this one,
Yeah.
to want to fully focus on it more, make sure he's doing what he can himself, and like you said, he seems to be happy with the team. So you know that's all you can do, and if you're going for your best, then you know that's the best you can do.
Yeah,
So
I agree on that. Well, we're now on board with Dino Paolini. Now does his laps. While we now go to I believe the second guy we want to interview, and that's Jukka-Pekka Lalu. That really has a nice flow when you say it. Jukka-Pekka Lalu.
it is, yeah,
Jukka-Pekka Lalu. Yeah,
very nice to say.
I will keep saying that. People will hate me for this.
Say
Jukka-Pekka
every sentence,
will hate me
every question you ask,
hate me
you have to say
for
his name.
abusing this this name. But yeah, let's see what he thinks about this season. Let's get him in.
Yeah, obviously Cass's teammate. So.
Yeah, but I of course know that he wants to tell his story about I think today's test and of course the preview of his season. So I hope he is around.
Hello, you Kapeka?
Hello.
Are you
Hello.
here?
Hello.
Then I will leave it to you, Josh, to give us nice quotes and everything.
Yeah,
Mic
well,
off.
welcome. We'll see. We just spoke to your teammate for the season, Cass. Um, so I suppose it'd be nice to hit your point of view on that kind of thing. Obviously, Cass was saying that thinks the team is working really well so far and looking forward to the season. Do you agree with that? Are you thinking it's going to be good?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like all the behind the scenes stuff are looking pretty good, and I'm definitely waiting for the season to start. And I think the basically the behind the scenes stuff are like much better than it was, for example, during the last season. Like obviously I joined during the mid season and stuff, but like everything is looking good. Let's say that way.
Yeah, that's good to hear. What are you feeling like in the test tonight? Actually, have you done laps in the test tonight? I suppose it's first off to ask.
Yeah,
Don't know if
I
I
did.
saw you.
I was pretty much the first one at the server, and I did my
That's why I missed you.
laps. Yeah, I just wanted to get them out of the way, like straight away when the server opened.
Yeah, fair enough. So, what you feeling in the car so far? Is it? Suppose that, like you say, you have experience in the car from last year, which is obviously helpful. Um, so you confident with it for the season ahead?
Mm, Well, the car doesn't feel that different from the last season, so in that sense, it's like pretty similar. And yeah, I mean, I hope like with the better behind the scenes stuff and all the better team environment and all that stuff, we can like hopefully provide good setups for the races and stuff. So uh, yeah, I'm hoping that everything is going well, and I'm pretty confident that the car is feeling quite decent to drive. There's definitely some things that we can work on still, obviously, but the baseline is pretty good, and the basics are on a good way at the moment.
Yeah, well, that's always good coming into the season. I suppose we heard Cass say that for Turkey was kind of his favourite track that he's looking forward to. Have you got any particular track that you like or maybe dislike? Um, or maybe one that you know you've got history of doing well at? Is there anything like that for you, or is it just kind of each race is a race and it doesn't really make a difference?
Well, actually, one of the best tracks for me was Monaco. That obviously isn't in the calendar anymore.
Yeah.
And I have like one of my friends have like kind of gave me a like little name, like a nickname, little like a street master or something, because I have always like I don't know, like street circuits, because I don't know, I just feel like at those circuits, when you are like you more have to like be in a way not like more precise to not hit the walls, and still they pretty consistent and all that stuff. That's like which kind of track suits me more than like some other tracks where you can like, let's say you extend more on the tracks and use all the track and have like push all the way and that stuff. That doesn't like, that isn't my like best, like that isn't exactly the best thing that is suiting me. But yeah, I mean, I think the another track that is actually on the calendar and being good in like past was like I think Circuit of the Americas has been pretty good for me in the past on R Factor 2. So I think I would say that is like one of the strongest tracks for me, I guess, if I have to say
Yeah.
one.
Fair enough. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, I guess it's a shame about Monaco then. He can't show you talent there again, but I mean, we've got Baki, I suppose. What
Yeah,
else?
I didn't actually do that.
Singapore as well.
Yeah, I wasn't
Uh,
able to do the Paco last season. I joined only after that.
yeah. So I suppose now you'll be wanting to use your Monaco skills there and show what you could do there.
Yeah,
Uh,
hopefully.
yeah. Uh, uh, there's a few issues at the moment, similar with server, I believe. So Menno, I know you wanted me to keep talking, but I don't suppose you have any questions. Uh, or are you busy right now?
Mic on.
I'm here, so yeah, I don't have a lot of questions, but yeah. Uh, so just go ahead, just ask him something general. Uh, yeah. How is the difference between this team and the team you were in last year, Kappa? Something like that. You should ask. Like, yeah. Is it
That's true, actually, yeah, because
yeah.
so you were at NetRec
Mic off.
last season, and they've they've left. Um, so is it too different moving over to Royal Blue, um, or is it working in a similar way and getting along just as well?
I think, I mean, I think the things are looking a little bit better at the moment than it was like the last season. I mean, obviously, Danny was a pretty nice team manager last season, and it was still like I have to thank him for the opportunity that he gave me during the last season, and I'm thankful for that. But it was my decision. I would have been able to stay at Netrex as well, and most likely, if I would have stayed, they would have actually like participate on this year as well. So, but yeah, I decided to move on to another team because I saw opportunities. My opportunities like I had like more like Royal Blue as a better choice for me myself, and I saw more potential there. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, I suppose that's the important thing. Obviously, yeah, well, like we were saying with Cass and speaking about earlier, if the team is running well, then it helps you because it means you could just focus on yourself, making sure that you're doing what you can for yourself. And if you've got the help from teammates with setups and stuff as well, then that helps with that. Uh, so that's good to hear.
Mic on.
Yeah. Believe I'd say if you're happy, that's probably done there. Menno, are you?
Yeah,
we sorting things out, or?
I'm happy now. We had some small problems, and we now fixed those problems in the meanwhile. Meantime, so we're now up and running with the stream again.
No, so that's good.
So
Do
that's
you think
good.
we're ready to drag in the next
Yeah, at least
contestant?
yeah, Yuka Pekka, for the season we wish, of course, we wish you the best. I think
Yep.
you can do you can do really well this season, and you'll be one of
Yeah,
the
I hope so.
of the guys that will be yeah, in the higher half of the field, I would say. But yeah, it's just a competitive place, this series, that yeah, of course I cannot say where you will finish it. It's too difficult to predict, but it seems to me that you're on the right place, and let's see what your season will bring.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good, and we wish you the best.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's bring the other one in. Well, yeah, you might hear on the stream more or less a woman talking, but I'm always muting my microphone, and then I hear a voice of a woman talking. So if you hear that on the stream, I'm not watching dirty movies or something. No, that's my microphone. But I have a microphone which I put up, and then it says microphone muted, microphone activated, and yeah. Because I didn't do a lot of broadcasting in recent times. It now says it. So yeah, if you hear hear that, that's because I'm yeah, doing yeah, my mic up or down. So I had some complaints about Menno, what are you
You
doing?
just make sure you get that excuse out, right?
Yeah, yeah. Now I'll have an excuse. Let's get. Meanwhile, let's get on board with Pedro Mara. And let's
Yeah.
get the other one in. I think we will go for Hygo Poo now.
Yeah. I'll see how I go. I mean, I've got experience with him.
Yeah. So I will
Drove for NDR
keep
last
you
season.
keep you with it, and I'm going for a drink. Be right back.
Can you drag him first?
Yeah,
Because
yeah. Don't worry.
I can't.
Because I know you can't. So
Yeah.
meanwhile we're looking at.
I'm not powerful enough yet.
Well, not yet. That will come.
Yeah. But yeah. Hello, Hygo. Welcome to the broadcast.
Hello, thank you for having me.
We'll see. I mean, I don't necessarily need introduction to you. I've had to put up with you enough.
Yeah, we have a bit of history together, yeah.
Yeah. But for the rest of the people that maybe don't, how are you feeling for the season ahead? So you've done all your laps now in the test, but how are you feeling with the car and with the team in general?
I think the general just feel of it is just pure confidence. I am a lot more confident than I was from last season. I'm confident in the team, I'm confident in my teammates. I'm happy with how the car is handling. I have no issues pushing the car, while last season I did have issues pushing the car. So I think confidence is probably the best way of saying how I'm feeling about the season.
Yeah, well, I suppose last season you joined the league last, and obviously you only started Superleague Lights about halfway through, so the experience of that definitely helped for this year. Obviously the cars are quite similar, so yeah, that always helps having the extra races. What kind of thing? What you kind of looking forward to, I guess, for this season? Like any particular tracks? We've asked the last couple of people this and seemed interesting. So what kind of tracks are you looking forward to?
I mean, I always look forward to Australia, so that's right around the corner now. It's just one of those tracks where I do tend to do good at, even though the racing is not the greatest there, it's just the enjoyment of driving there, I guess, is what I do like. Then of course, later down the season, I guess yeah, Bahrain right after it. I do quite enjoy driving around Bahrain as well. And after that, I guess Canada, mostly because of how last season went.
Yeah,
I
it
want
was
to repeat
your
that.
best race. Yeah.
And And of course, my favorite tracks, Singapore and Brazilian Grand Prix. I can't ignore them. They are my favorite on the entire calendar. And I guess just even though I'm not too optimistic about it, I guess the Dutch Grand Prix in Zandvoort. Just seeing
Yeah, I think that would
how
definitely
it
be the most.
goes.
Yeah, it'll be the most interesting track to see new on the calendar. It's yeah, it's the kind of track it'll be interesting to see how the racing is. It's quite a tight and twisty one. So it probably make it a bit tricky to follow.
Mic
But,
off.
that's good. And yeah, I
Mic
suppose
on.
obviously Australia and Bahrain you didn't do last year, Superleague Light, so good to see what you could do there for your first time.
Yeah, in my history with them is good, so I do expect one of my better results of the season to be around those two tracks.
Yeah. Uh, so you're saying also you moved from MDR. We went, of course. But obviously you're now at Zedric, and you've got Dowie as your teammate. What are you thinking there with the team? Obviously with Doug running it as well. Are you looking forward to the season working with them?
Yeah, definitely. I think the season is more of a learning season for the entirety of Cedric. Tavi is completely new to Super League Lights. Toag as well. He hasn't had to manage something like a Super League Lights team before. Uh, but yeah, I'm the one bringing a little bit of experience into the team. In terms of me and Towie together, I do expect us to be fighting on the track quite a bit. We seem to be similar base. He seems to be getting along with the car really nicely. So, looking forward to the battles we might have, might not have. But yeah, it's definitely a building season for Cedric because it's completely new. Like everything is new for Doug and the team.
Yeah, of course, and that'll be interesting to see what they could do there. I suppose to go with that, what would be your target for the season? Obviously, last year, like I say, you joined halfway through and you had maybe not the best of luck, at least in well, Singapore, Japan, and Kota. Uh, so, so what would be your target for this season? Would it be maybe more regular in the points, or maybe even higher than that?
Uh, I honestly don't know. I definitely want to be in the points, like around the top 6 area. I don't see myself fighting for podiums, but you never know. Maybe one track I somehow manage to make myself a god. But I think my overall target is around top 6, top 7. But we don't really know until we hit the track because this season looks like it's going to be extremely close. Every race you don't exactly know where you're going to end up because the gap between drivers are like half a second for the entire grid, maybe a second for the entire grid. So I do expect to be going up and down the result screen quite a bit because just some drivers are faster at certain tracks and some are faster on the other tracks. But I do want to keep my general position around the top 6, top 7. So I guess that's my target.
Cool. Yeah, I mean that's probably fair, like you say. Um, yeah, Menno, are you? I think you're back now. Have you got any more questions to ask, or are we good? suppose before you answer, I can already. Is Jack maybe going to be on that list of drivers that you want to be?
Perhaps.
Yeah.
I think MDR as a whole is in a really similar situation to Cedric because Jack is the guy who has that experience from the season, and Pickers is the guy who comes in unknown. Like, we don't know what he's able to do yet. He seems as confident as Towie in the car. So I think just at the start of the season, MDR and Cedric will be trading places left and right. And of course, we want to beat all the newcomers uh, because that's like a championship of its own. Who is the best rookie in the entire class? Uh, but yeah, my personal rival, I guess, direct rival is Towie because he is my teammate. Like, that's the guy you're going to be compared with. But outside of the team, it has to be Jack because he was my teammate last season. We were already pretty darn close last season. He was a bit faster, but I do want to close the gap and get past him if possible, or keep trading places. And the track question, like, it has to be Canada where I want to make another good result. The last season one, it was half down the luck, but this time I want to make a result what is not down the luck, and actually I try for it. So it's not related to weather or anything. I want to actually finish high without having to rely on weather.
Yeah, well, that's it's always good to be able to properly show your pace and not have it be because of other stuff. So yeah, it's good. I suppose might make sense to get the next guy in who could potentially be your rival, Jack.
Yeah, let's get Jack in. We could also put Jack in just keep Heiko here. Let's see how that will unfold live on broadcast. But no, let's
We don't want to get up too much of NDR, guys,
no,
do we?
we need to save that for Australia and the rest of the season. We should not spoil everybody for that. But I believe he is ready. I will put him in the green room first. So, yeah, Heiko, thanks at least for being here to talk with us, and we wish you the very best of luck this season. Will be
Thank you for having me.
intense, and yeah, I guess being a second years, I think that would help you with a lot of things. You've been there, so you can rely on a bit of knowledge about from the past to do that little bit extra. And, well, yeah, will be interesting. We will follow you closely as well. So kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I will move Jack in now. Hopefully he's there. There he
Sure he
is.
is ready.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we put them two in the green room together. That was a mistake.
Yeah, that was kind of a mistake because he came in laughing, and we'll get out this broadcast room crying. I fear after we.
What's CB saying about me?
No,
Only the best.
only the best. Yeah, Heiko saw you as the ideal driver in Superleague Light. So
Good, he's learnt well.
yeah.
But to this one, it might make sense for Menno to do the interview. I know all too much about what Jack's won in the season, so.
Oh, so I need to do the interview.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
no, I'll let you have a go.
Okay.
I need to get a drink as well now.
Oh
like
yeah.
Did, so.
Okay, that actually is true. So yeah.
Need a drink to put up with Jack.
Oh my
so.
god, but I need to think about some good questions. So
If
yeah.
Josh doesn't come back, can I take over from him?
Well, possibly. Let's first ask you
Let's
like.
get Josh sacked from
I don't like
We'll
that.
fire you a round of questions. Yeah. So yeah. Jack, this will be your second year in the Lights, of course. It's the Super League Lights second year in total.
Yeah.
But you got a podium last year. Will that put more pressure on you for 2020? Because
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think the podium itself. I don't think the podium itself is what will give me the pressure, because The way I've always seen it is that I didn't get the podium on track. I got the points for P3,
Yeah.
and I got points for Singapore. Well, I got P3 at Singapore due to a post-race
Penalty.
penalty for someone else,
Yeah.
but I didn't finish there. I think the pressure has come from the fact that I now want to finish there. I want to get another podium on track
Yeah.
with no excuses. But I think personally, there's a long way for that to go. But I mean, there's nothing to say that a repetition of last year's Singapore could happen again. We know obviously in sim racing, a lot of those races happen where there's a lot of retirements or a lot of luck comes into play.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be plenty of opportunity throughout the year for another chance at getting a podium. It's just I've got to be there at the right place at the right time. Um, but I don't see why it's not possible to match last year's results.
No, no, I agree. Talking about last year, what's the biggest change between your team, MDR, in 2019 and 2020? Are there big
Uh,
changes, or is it
well, we've
mainly
got a new driver.
experience? Yeah,
It's
well, that's one of
well,
the things.
we brought in Lewis because obviously he joined GPV halfway through last year, and obviously only done half a season. He massively improved every race. He done obviously half the season at Super Cup, and each race he was getting quicker and quicker. And he's been working behind the scenes with like established drivers within GPV. Obviously, you got Dan Brewer being the closest to him, and obviously Dan was helping him and working with him in the likes of Super Cup. But with bringing Lewis into Super League Lights, which is a like-for-like car to the Super League car, all apart from say the power and throughout the end, as the season goes on, the cars get quicker in Super League. But besides that, the cars are the same. So in feedback and assistance that Dan can help with Lewis makes more sense in Super League Lights than it did in Super Cup. So I think the improvements from Lewis will be even bigger in Super League Lights. And I think if he starts the season this year where he left off last year, he'll be even further ahead at the end of this year. And I think there's plenty of potential. And I think that's the main reason we took him on. Hago was really good, and Hago's still got plenty of potential. And I hope Hago has a good season as well. He's a good driver. Like I say, there's nothing wrong with him. Is we'd take him again if the opportunity came up. But Lewis seemed like a good driver to take at the time.
Yeah.
Thinking long term.
Yeah, thinking long term, of course, seeing potential, and that's of course very interesting. Well, you now see a lot of changes in 2020 in comparison of 2019 with all the new teams. Are there any other teams where you think, hey, those are my main rivals, or I want to
I think
watch out for those teams, or yeah, can you tell?
it's difficult to say at the moment because especially a lot of teams have shaken around because last year Royal Blue they didn't have the greatest of seasons. They started off okay, but as the season went off, they kind of dropped off. But with a brand new lineup this year, right, Veld and Lalu, that's definitely going to be a team that we want to be beating on track, and we think we will be fighting to beat them a lot more on track than last year. And then you've got the likes of Stax, who are again with a brand new lineup from last year, with Grasha and Kosmala. That's going to be one that we want to beat on track. That's going to be difficult as well. I think in terms of who we feel like we can eat, well, it's difficult to say because we don't know anyone's lap times until we get to Australia qualifying, really. But I would say we want to be mid pack, at the top of the mid pack, fighting on the doorstep of podiums.
Yeah.
So whichever team's in that category, that's who we want to be beating.
Yeah. But yeah, so your personal ambition, what I heard, it would be podium again, uh,
Um,
right? Yeah.
the throughout the season, I'll be happy if I can better last year's result of. But last year, I went into last year with the ambition to finish in the top 10, and I thought that was going to be a lot harder to achieve. And in the end, obviously, going into the last race, I couldn't finish outside the top 10. Well, this year, I think the drive lineup so far looks like the grid's going to be a lot closer. So I'm going to have the same ambition of being in the top 10 at the end of the season, but I still want to have a better season than last year and build on what I got last year. I think race to race, I want to score points every race. I mean, last year after Canada, I scored every single race from then on. from Germany onwards, I think was actually from Germany onwards, I scored at every single round. And I think I'd like to go into this season scoring every round. Ideally, I'd like it to be a top 10 every round, and I think that would put myself in a good position every race. And I think the team itself, if we can bring a top 10 finish with both drivers every race,
Yeah.
which I think is possible. I don't see why it shouldn't be possible. That should put us in a really good position for the team's championship at the end of the season.
Yeah, of course. Of course, it will be hard because you've got a lot of decent drivers. But of course, you, as a driver, as a team, you need to aim for the highest. And as your own team, which constructors position you hope to achieve? Of course, high as possible. What do you think would be uh, good if you currently look at all the lineups and seeing MDR
Well,
lineup?
like I was saying, as a driver, it's difficult to see until you get to Australia where everyone is.
Yeah.
But looking at the lineups we've seen so far, obviously we want to be at the lowest in the mid pack. I think last year our target was to not get like taken down to Supercar at the end of the season. But I think that's everyone's target, obviously. But as we've got a season advantage over a lot of the teams here, with not many teams staying from last year in Super League Lights. We have a big advantage over the other teams. We know what to expect as the season goes on, and we know how the game works now. So I think from that aspect, I think a target that we should be aiming for by the end of the season, I would say top 5 minimum. I think
Okay.
we can achieve better than 6th. Last year we finished 7th. I think we can build on that. So I'm saying top 5 is really where we want to be.
I think that's a very good goal for a second year team, and of course we hope to see that that happening for you. But yeah, competition will be very hard. So yeah. So getting back on today's test, what do you think of Watkins Glen? Amazing track, or you say, well, let's not
When
go back here again?
when the test tracks came out and I saw the lineup of the 4, I
Yeah.
was wondering what you was smoking when that was real, because none of them are anything that you would really associate besides Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
None of them you'd associate with like Formula One or Super League or Super League Lights sort of thing. They're good enough for it, but you wouldn't see it in modern day formulas. But Watkins Glen is really fun. I've never really driven around it in Formula cars before, but the whole circuit just flows so well. And even though usually when you stick a chicane in the middle of a straight, it doesn't pay off well, it is a really fun addition to the circuit. And to be fair, overall, the whole circuit does flow really nicely. And yeah, it is a good circuit. I'll definitely keep it in future seasons. Even as a test track, it works perfectly. I don't know for the racing, but for a test track, it works perfectly.
Yeah. No, well, that's good to hear. Of course, we will have Manicure in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's of course, yeah, also an old F1 circuit like Watkins Glen here, and yeah, we decided to go for the more iconic classical tracks. So
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting, yeah, to be here in Watkins Glen. Of course, we're now in the USA, and then yeah, in 2 weeks' time we will be in Europe. So we will be traveling a lot. So that will also mean all the teams have transportation costs, of course.
Of course,
That's
yeah.
kind of interesting, but they've got 2 weeks. And by the way, Jack, how's the hospitality unit in MDR? Can I borrow
I think
like
we're.
can I
I
borrow
hate it.
can I borrow a chicken curry or something? Or am I not at the right?
MDR House is doing just fine. Our
Okay.
Disaronno is stocked up pretty nicely, and I
Good
feel
to
like
hear. No, good
MDR
to
House is
hear.
doing good.
I just wanted to know because I saw you were like trying a lot with the
feel
You're
I
hospitality.
think you
welcome
want
to
to
come
go.
along anytime, Menno. You know you know
Yeah,
that.
well, maybe an after test after party, maybe in half an hour. You don't know.
You
Yeah.
can come over after this. Yeah,
No,
you can have it after this
that's
podcast.
good to hear.
Come back to mine.
And
Uh,
we're nearly done with the test, so we've got 90 minutes to go. And believe we only have got one runner, which is Pedro Maura currently. Yeah, we're talking a lot, so uh, it seems like we're not looking at what happens on the track, but we're still looking at what happens on the track. But it's only Pedro Maura at the moment, so Interesting. Jack, thoughts about this this livery, the Kobe Bryant livery?
It's eye-catching.
Yeah.
It's definitely bright. Obviously, it's only as a pre-season livery. It's quite respectful what they've done. I think props to them for it.
Yeah, I really like it actually. I mean, it just gives a bit of extra. Yeah.
I think that's as a pre-season livery, it works really well. And I think that's what's good about pre-season when the teams like make liveries which you wouldn't see over a whole season, but it's nice just for livery creators to show off what they can do and show off new ideas without the limitations of what the sponsors or what the team wants overall. You know.
Yeah. I agree.
Which unfortunately we weren't able to show off ours though, because you'd all finished before the stream started. So
That's true, but you know we've got to be quick to work. We don't want to show the masses our pace.
Yeah. So now we're going for another lap with Pedro Moura. The Brazilian gets a lot of airtime.
It's an interesting looking at it that 40 people have set lap time, and there's a few teams that maybe won't have all 3 drivers doing that, because there's a max of 45 that we would theoretically have.
Well, what I do know is that TTF is very unlikely to field the third car. I know they were struggling to field 2 cars. Obviously, it was just Saracino was the only person up until recently when Pedro joined. I think Pedro mainly joined to tell Saracino that he could take a break. Yeah, about 30 plus timed laps, and I know that was digging into the TTF budget slightly.
I heard some rumors as well that TTF might have one of their drivers being stuck in traffic or something. So
yeah,
that's really unlucky because you want to make it, and if you have something like that, it's kind of hard. But we might have some other teams missing out on some running.
It's unfortunate. It's not the end of the world, of course, because obviously you've got the next test session in 2 weeks, and then at the same time, every race there's a test session. So as long as they make it up in there and don't drop too far behind, it's not going to be a major
That's the thing.
loss.
It will not be fatal, but it will not be ideal. So actually, you need to make sure that for the second test you will have F3 drivers driving. So it will be interesting, of course. And of course, I think we will see the Excel sheets who every team, how many laps they done, how many R&D points they got. I think there will be somebody that will produce those kinds of Excel sheets. So it'll be interesting to
get on that.
To see who did what and which driver did the most laps and stuff. So that's interesting to see. But overall, we need to wait a bit for the session to end. I've got 15 minutes left. How many laps did Pedro Moura currently do?
He's just started his 21st lap. That was his fastest lap just then. Looking at his lap times, it is interesting. Each lap, it's not particularly consistent. The laps themselves don't look too bad. Like he's breaking into the 19s now and again. He's always in the 21s or 20s or 19s, but each lap seems to be half a second out from each other. So there's a bit of inconsistency there, but at the same time, he's not going to be pushing too hard. He only has to complete like 24 laps to get the most out of the session. So I'm sure that's not too much of an issue. I'm sure come Australia he'll be consistent.
So I think we are going for another interview. So thanks Jack for at least being here. I'm going to get somebody else in. We've got I believe David Carter now. So I'll put him in the green room. And I will put you with him in the green room. So but don't laugh or do anything strange.
Badly.
It's been emotional.
Been emotional. Jack, from the bottom of my heart, I wish you the very best for the whole season, and let's see what you can do to maybe you win a race this year. You never know.
We'll see. I'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
I don't think Jack's good enough for that.
I will remind you about you're laughing now, but I would say I would call it in the end of the season. Yeah, you might win one. Yeah, you never know, and then I will point my finger. Look, I called it.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
It will be a very competitive season, and will be the right guy in the right place, I think. and
We'll
we
see.
shall see where you will end. I will put you in the green room now.
See you in Manicore.
Yeah, see you in Manicure. So now we're waiting for David Carter, and then you can do some interviews, and I'm going for a second drink because I'm
Oh, wow,
getting
okay.
really thirsty. And there we've got the man himself, if we can say it like that, David Carter. I hope he is around actually. David?
Hope I'm a man still as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I will leave you to it, Josh.
Oh no, don't want to be left alone with David.
So
it's not so bad.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Good to have you here. How have you found the Super League
Mic
Lights
off,
so far?
mic
Obviously, you
on.
don't have, Crossfire on Super League Lights, but it's been interesting to watch what's happening.
Yeah, it's good to keep an eye on these other series as well. Even though I'm not officially a part of it, I did the test today though, and first time really driving the car seriously actually, and it was really good fun. And I'll definitely take the experience if we do move up next year, for example. Fingers crossed we do. And any experience is a good experience.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, with that, obviously, like you say, you did do the test today for Zedric.
Yeah.
How did you find it? Like kind of overall, obviously, you haven't really driven these kind of cars before, have you? But
No.
is it a good change or?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I was a bit of nervous energy to say sure, but yeah, it's really nice actually. I think this track was actually a really good track to do this test on actually, because it's a really flowing circuit. It's nice, quite a simple track as well actually. And lap times are nice and close, or for even the whole field actually, except for about 3 or 4 seconds. So it's really nice change of scenery, and for GPV actually for the career ladder, and myself. So it's really really nice experience. Not too sure how often I'll do it. I'm not sure if we'd ever the second test, but for today at least, and for the last few days, it's been a really nice experience, and the pleasure. Thanks to Doug as well for giving me the opportunity to drive his car as well.
Yeah. I suppose probably be more kind of relatable with you. Obviously the Super Cup test that's in is it 2 weeks now? I
Yeah.
believe, like Tuesday. So what are you kind of looking forward to in that? And for the season overall for Crossfire? I see you just got promoted to Super Cup. How are
Yeah.
you feeling?
Yeah, it's really nice, and obviously thanks to Mandy being a big part of that, as well. It's going to be difficult. Obviously, new teams, new drivers. For me, it's a completely whole new lineup as well. With Matteo and David. We've got obviously Janos Shock as well. As reserve, and we got Lexo in for the first couple of rounds as well, Stephen Lexo. So it's going to be it's definitely going to be difficult, because obviously everyone's got to try and work together, work under the way I like to work, which is I like to test hard and work hard, play hard. And I'm not sure. I'm not feeling as confident this year as I was last year. I think it's still a decent lineup. I think there's great teams out there with great lineup. There'll be definitely a big fall in my side. If I say my target, if we can get top 5, it'd be good. Top 3, I'll be ecstatic. I'm not expecting to win the title this year, but if we get a few race wins here and there, a few podiums, just solid points all the time, maximise opportunities, I'm sure we'll be in a good place.
Yeah, I suppose that's the important thing. Obviously, moving up from the challenge, you're getting in more with the more established teams, maybe more established lineups and drivers. So yeah, if you can have a good season, get a few podiums, maybe some wins, then it's a great first season in Super Cup.
Yeah, it'd be really, really solid, And so there's a lot of teams who've been down there for different reasons, but there's been teams down there a long time who's been wanting to go up for a while, and luckily, likes of TG and Zederic, they've, for example, they had a great year last year, moved up accordingly. If I can follow their path, I'd be delighted.
I'm going to break in a bit because we have a crasher. Pedro Maura bending it in one of the last corners. I believe also one of the
Oh,
last laps. So I
oh yes,
believe,
I did not actually notice that.
yeah, he now is done. So he went out with a bang. So yeah, so
By the looks of it,
that's kind
his
of
lap was still
still
below
within the
the
limits.
mark,
Yeah.
so he at least got the points for that, which is good.
Yeah.
Uh, have you got any other questions for David? Obviously, you and him, you know each other. So
Well, I know him that well that I don't have any questions. I already know everything already from him, so no, I don't need to do anything actually now. So yeah, we're nearly at the end of the
Bit
session now.
worrying when
So
Menno knows me that well.
well,
Uh,
I've been your driver for for a year, so yeah, I know you quite
yeah,
well.
it's good. Yeah, it was, but yeah, it's really good, and I appreciate the stream being up today. And just a comment from me, actually, some great. I'm not wasn't a big fan of the test livery idea as such in the past, but it's been brilliant liveries, brilliant designs coming from a lot of different people, in the last few days and weeks. And I'm sure the grid will look really fantastic. And I know behind the scenes as well, there's different stuff being brought out for this year as well, like overlays and stuff. So hopefully this year, from a broadcast point of view and from the viewers watching at home, it's going to be a really, really good show for everybody.
Yeah, yeah, we're working quite hard on that to get a new overlay in, so that we will have a fresh look for 2020 and doing everything to make that possible. So yeah, so we're nearly at the end of this first preseason test broadcast as well, because we had all our running. We've now got a few minutes left in the session, but yeah, nobody is currently in the session, so I think we could end it here. And it was quite interesting last 1.5 hour, Josh. What do you think?
yeah, it was very interesting to see mainly the kind of different approaches
Yeah.
people had. Really, and what we did at MDR.
Yeah.
We saw it as we only needed to complete a set amount of that with a relatively easy target time, so it was just easy to relax. I mean, Jack did end up wanting to go for a flying lap at the end, but he didn't actually top session, so he should be disappointed in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting to see there are a few drivers that maybe didn't quite fully do that. So there were some that were maybe pushing too hard, and the team, the bank balance will feel that. So yeah, it was interesting, and just to have a proper idea of maybe what season could be like. Um, it's always interesting to see, and being the first proper session, official session of the league this year is an exciting time, really.
Yeah, I agree on that. And well, a test like this always brings new people, also people you don't know. Are there any of the testers today which you say, hey, that guy is new, I didn't know him until recent and he impressed me? Is there somebody you say like, hey, this guy is new to the league, he did well today? Is there somebody you can pick out from it? Or you say like, yeah, I'm not really noticed the new guys. It's more like the well-known guys. I'm more focused on. What do you think? Is there anybody
Well,
that you want to highlight from this test? That's maybe the better question.
yeah. I suppose probably one of them would be Colin Sport, who
Yeah,
obviously came for, what team was it he was driving for?
Cenobite, I believe.
Cenobite, yes. That was interesting. Obviously, I don't think he's ever been at GPV before, has he?
No,
Um,
no. That I
no.
can
So for him,
I can say that. Yeah.
yeah. So I think for him, he came in straight into Super League. Like, he had one crash, didn't he, or at least been.
Yeah, he did have a couple. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but overall, he seemed to be
He seems to be
do
quite fast.
as a
I
complete
believe.
new
Yeah.
timer. Yeah.
You need
Um.
yeah. You need to give those drivers a bit of a chance as well, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably him. A lot of obviously being Super League lights, being relatively high up the ladder. there's not too many brand new people here.
No.
A lot of the drivers maybe at least had experience in it last season. So I think overall it was more just you got to see that a lot of the drivers are going to be good and on the pace, and I think it should make for an exciting season.
Yeah, I agree. It will be a very exciting season, and I can't say who I think will be the best team and who will be ending on the bottom in P15 at the constructors. It's so hard to say, but I think we should end it here, and yeah, then hopefully in 2 weeks' time we will have another preseason test stream, then from Manikur. But we will look into that if we will be able to bring you another broadcast. But more on that later. I want to thank everybody at least for being here. Josh, the final word is for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, yeah, like you say, I mean, it was a bit of a last minute thing to get the stream sorted. So thanks to everyone who watched. Thanks to Menno for see you doing the cameras and doing commentary. So it's
Yep.
good to have. And thanks to all the people that came for an interview, and David here who's kind of clinging on to the end. But yeah, it's been a good stream and a good look into what the season could potentially be.
A lot of potential.
Yeah, definitely.
So we yeah, we're going to close this stream now. Thanks for watching, for listening to us. Bye bye.
Bye bye.